So now you're familiar with the song, definitely, aren't you? Yes, correct, you are. So you're familiar with the structure and how it sounds, and you know how the rhythm and the timing is all sounding a little bit now. So in your mind, you can sing Stuck in the Middle with You, even if it's in your mind, and can't sing like me. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to show you the chords for the song in the sequence that they appear as part of the song, in the introduction, the verses, the chorus, the middle eights, etc, etc. So we're going to do that for several reasons, or three key reasons. Number one, you getting to know what chord, in your mind, what chord comes where. So you can just visually say, yeah, that chord's there, that's coming up next, and you can think what's coming next. So, you know, you're not having to worry too much about, oh God, I've forgotten it, start again. So that makes it nice and smooth for you. Secondly, if you get to that stage where, you know that what chord's coming next, in your mind you can say it's going to take that shape or that shape or that shape, and that will help you execute it more accurately. So you know what's coming up, then in your mind you can picture how that chord is going to sound, or how it's actually going to be played. So then thirdly, because you know the song, what chord's coming next, how it's going to be played, you become a lot more relaxed. It'll make sure you stay motivated, you become more confident in actually knowing what you're playing, if you see what I mean. Because what we're saying is that if you don't know what's coming next, you don't know what the chord shape is, you do get in a little bit of a muddle, and that can breed sort of demotivation and lack of confidence. So a lack of confidence probably comes along a lot of the comments we've had so far on our Facebook site. It's that, I just can't play in front of people. Well, I'll tell you, I was terrible. Can't get me off stage now, but it was all because I was seeing what's coming next and thinking too much. If you don't have to think about it, it breeds your confidence levels no end. And once you're confident with a song and can play it error-free, you can put your own nuances in and you put your own style on it. And once you can do that, what happens then? The song almost becomes yours and you're playing it in front of someone. So what? May take a bit of time, but there you go. So we're deliberately taking this first week very slowly by just becoming familiar with the song and the chords and the order in which they are played for those particular reasons. So please do take your time. And you may say, God blimey, Andy, get on with it, mate. And I sort of agree with you, but get it right first time. So get it right within that week. Because you can also learn some other songs that are familiar, that sort of like similar genre or similar ability. And we have our Beginners Volume 2, which has got other songs very similar to this, or the same playing level as this, which you've got full access to. And you can go and learn those songs or start to learn those as well. Those ones are shot in a lot more detail, or they give more detail. We've got 3 sort of HD cameras on my guitar, which is obviously helps you even more. Now, we've got lots of resources for this particular program for you to download, so please make sure you use those. So there we go. So that is why we're doing it like we are. So I'm going to just show you the chords first of all in roughly the sequence they are played in the song, and then I'll show you the exact sequence they are played in the song by breaking it down into key components. So the chords we have a D chord, open D. Then we have the most challenging chord probably to play, which is the G7 chord there. So getting that is quite difficult because you get the right tip of your finger right on that F note. When you've got small hands and a heavy strung guitar, it can be difficult. So we have our G7. We also have an A major chord. We have a C major chord. And we have an A minor 7 chord. And they are all tabbed out for you. So what order are we playing these songs in? Well, the introduction has a little bit of guitar intro, which we're not going to teach you because it's actually relatively complex. That's sort of more of an intermediate level. But the intro and the start is just basically played on the D. So you know how to play a chord, make sure it's all ringing out nice and nicely there. Okay? So that's the first chord that we're going to be playing. And that's the intro, stays on D. All the verses start on D. And then they switch to our G7 chord. Now, if you're struggling to play the full chord, what I recommend is use one finger, press your full finger, and just place it on the the first fret of the E string. there, which is an F note, and just use the D string upwards to strum. So it doesn't sound any different really. Makes it easier for you. If you play the full lot, it gets a fuller sound, but it doesn't matter. It's all about executing it accurately. So the verse will go from a D to a G7. It will then come back to the D again. Then we have quite a quick change, and it will go A, C, G7, D. Okay, so let's run that through one more time for you. D to G7, that's the main part of the verse. Back to D, and then back to A, C, G7, D. Okay, so they are the essential chords. Well, they're not the essential chords. What an idiot. They are the chords for the verse. Okay, and it's sort of like part of that verse really is, I suppose I could call it part of the chorus, where it goes, here I am stuck in the middle with you. So when it says jokers to the right of me, it's an A, and then you've got a clowns to the left, here I am, G, G7 and back to the D. We're actually going to call that either the end of the verse or the chorus, but it doesn't matter because it's in one block. And that one block of chords is D, G7, D, A, C, G7, D. Okay? So we'll have some practice routines in the next video to make that more familiar. So get familiar, look at the structure, look at YouTube and go, right, that's how it is. Then we have a middle eight, which is, some people may call it a chorus, but basically we've been playing D, and you finished the that first sequence of chords I've just told you, and you're back on the D again, and then it goes into the bridge or the middle eight, and we start off with a G7 chord, and it goes back to D again. So, and then it does it again. It does back for the G7 and then D again. Then, after that second time we played it, we are going down to an A minor 7. And that's when it all slows down. And it goes please, back to the A minor 7, and then back to the D again. Now that may sound a little bit confusing, but the key is what you're trying to do now is maybe even get a bit of paper and write it down. So what we're saying here for the middle eight, we're going G7D, G7D, A minor 7, D. So you can see the structure, but just get familiar with how it's all laid out. Now, obviously the key to this is being able to change from one chord to another. But before you attempt to do that, see that you've got your sheet in front of you and you're saying, right, I know what that structure looks like and I know when those chords are appearing. And then before you actually go on to the next video, get a blank bit of paper and just write the sequence out yourself. Okay? So now you should have the armory to say, right, I know where the chords are in the song. Now the more difficult bit is executing it. So if you go on to the next video, we'll have some chord changing practice.